So this is the 0740 GMT edition of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel, Part A, broadcasting under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo. This one has got as the most shocking parasite cover. This is the Murdoch SCUM, Rupert Murdoch SCUM on Friday, and it has got the picture of Muhammad Ali as part of the tribute to the racist Michael Parkinson. Now, I saw that program as it was being broadcast, and the reason why Muhammad Ali was furious at the racist Parkinson was because Parkinson was racist quite transparently, and Muhammad Ali caught him immediately as being a racist. And Muhammad Ali never expressed any statement of politeness towards the racist Parkinson. And yet, here is the criminal creep, dirty digger Rupert Murdoch, running this front page story with the splash, the greatest. And it says, greatest, and so was Muhammad Ali. Fuck them. This goes back to the whole question of the intellectual properties and the authorship and the ownership that is habitually and historically robbed from black people, people of African, Asian origins and identities by the Europeans, the imperialists, colonialists. And they have no shame, no self-respect in even suggesting that this was a kind of jocular use of the original phrase that Muhammad Ali used about himself. Now, as a believer, I don't think that there is any human being who can be called the greatest, including all the prophets. The only greatest is God, full stop. But I do notice that Muhammad Ali himself allowed his enthusiastic promotion of his image to include the phrase that he was the greatest. I never accept that. He was not the greatest, he could not be the greatest, but that was the expression that he did use. There is a gulf of difference between my accepting and it being acceptable or not, or being on the record. But for the racist scum to even it was Parkinson who was the greatest, is taking audacity and everything else to the point of delinquent idiocy. Parkinson never broadcast an interview that broke any story, including this one with Muhammad Ali. Parkinson was fiddling and he was parasiting, ingratiating himself to Muhammad Ali's fame and name. That's what he was doing. That is what that interview was about. But in the contents of the exchanges, there was nothing, no breaking point by Parkinson. Everything Muhammad Ali said was, of course, breaking. And Muhammad Ali did make the assertions against racism generally and against racism of Parkinson in particular. But the parasites or the scum, Murdoch scum, or at the Murdoch Times or at the Murdoch other outlets, the radio programs, they will not have the morality, the ethics to admit any of that. But that is the biggest evidence of Parkinson's inferiority and the entire British media's inferiority is exposed in the fact that they have to rely on Muhammad Ali. They couldn't find anything else. They could not find anything else. Even in that stupid parade that they are running on the front page of the scum today, they are depending on Muhammad Ali to give gravitas to Michael Parkinson, who didn't have the gravitas. Parkinson was one of the career opportunist television racers, but that's it. He didn't contribute anything intellectually, ethically, and morally, and there is not one single British television personality or interviewer since the creation of the public broadcasting system that can be said to have created a breaking event. The parasite work that Jonathan Dimbour did for King Brian against Diana was a parasite work. And I don't think that Diana needed them. And I think that in passing, Diana's son, Harry, would actually do something unbeatable. He would confess that he is not age. Work and anything else that he can actually comfortably get involved in. The British monarchy is dead, has been dead right from the beginning. It's a corrupt institution, and nobody who has got any sense should have to depend on it for their credibility or legitimacy. And the racists and the criminals in Fleet Street celebrating the alleged fact that King Brian has done even another stupid thing by dropping HRH from Harry's name. They are wrong. It has to be Harry's task to prove them wrong. They are wrong, I'm saying it. British monarchy can be finalized. Look at the news leaks and the news lineup. None of the main items, forget about Parkinson, none of the main items about the economy, about the business, about poverty, about the institutions like the Malkinson miscarriage of justice. And the Times has got two items about the Metropolitan Police. One, a currently employed Metropolitan policeman has been charged with rape in addition to other crimes. The police cannot get away from the evidential predominance by facts every day that the London Metropolitan Police is a criminal organization. Not a criminal organization about solving crimes, but criminal organization that is populated by criminals who should not be there in the first place. And even a columnist in the Times is saying that Rishi Sunak is useless. He hasn't got a plan. He has not got one single plan. Where is she saying it? Let's see where she's saying it. There is a woman writer on the Times who is saying, Sunak is a man with no plan. That's the problem. It's on page 22 by Emma Duncan. And on the news on page 11, there is this continuing news about Jimmy Savile, and that item about Metropolitan policeman charged with rape at the top, and the bottom one is the surviving Barclay, the two Barclay brothers. This one is Freddie Barclay. So the High Court judge who found Freddie Barclay in contempt of court for not paying the money he owed for legal fees and maintenance, ruling that he had the means to pay those lesser sums. His ex-wife of what, 34 years is it? Demanded 100 million pounds, and in the continuing absence of the payment that Freddie Barclay is under order to pay, she is saying that he should be held in contempt. And here is the bit in the Times. Last year, within quote, Lady Barclay's lawyers argued that he was in contempt because he had breached court orders to pay the award, that is 100 million pounds. However, the judge ruled yesterday that Barclay was not in contempt for not paying the sum or a first installment of 50 million pounds because his ex-wife had not proved that Barclay did have the means to pay either amount, 100 million or 50 million. Barclay and his twin, who died in 2021 at the age of 86, were among the UK's most high-profile businessmen. Their interests included the Telegraph Media Group, in the Ritz Hotel in London. The family also has links to the Channel Islands and Monaco. In any case, here is an order, High Court order, that is being disobeyed by the billionaire, and he is not being held in contempt. It's 34-year marriage anyway. And this High Court judge was Jonathan Cohen, who sat in the I think he sat in the family division, wasn't he? In the family division, of course. So £245,000 he owed, still owes his wife, her legal fees and maintenance. Now, this woman is clearly ethnically of Chinese ethnicity, broadly speaking. She could be from the Philippines, she could be from any of those South Far Eastern countries, but she is definitely of Chinese ethnicity. Let's check on the Barclays. So the one who died last year was David. The one that we are talking about today is Frederick. So he's a twin. They were born on the 27th of October 1934. The Sunday Times Rich List of 2020 estimated their wealth at £7 billion. They earned a reputation for avoiding publicity and have often been described as reclusive. David's son, Aidan, manages their UK businesses. Of by placing assets under ownership of companies. Technique. This is morally bankrupt and corrupt and criminal. And yet this pair of the Barclays was paying huge sums of money to the congenital liar Boris Johnson. Of course, they didn't need him to kind of give them any facilities financially. What exactly was the purpose of their funding him? I would say that they were funding him for ideological reasons, for political reasons. And these, in the wiki entry, it says that they were born within 10 minutes of each other in Hammersmith, London, to Scottish parents Beatrice Cecilia, who died in 1989, and her husband Frederick Hugh Barclay, a traveling salesman. The couple had 8 children. I'll read that again. The couple had 8 other children. Frederick Sr. died when the brothers were 12 years old, and they left school 4 years later in 1950 to work in the accounts department at the General Electric Company before setting up as partners. I'll read that again. Frederick Sr. died when the brothers were 12 years old, and they left school 4 years later in 1950 to work in the accounts department at the General Electric Company before setting up as painters and decorators. We have been broadcasting for 21 minutes, just pointing out. This is the Khoodeelaar television channel, broadcasting under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo platform. And we are talking about the media Mughal Frederick Barclay, whose twin brother David Barclay died in 2021. And this surviving twin, Frederick Barclay, has been spared prison by the Family Division judge sitting in the High Court yesterday, Jonathan Cohen. Most recently, the judge Cohen was told that a loan for about 10 million, which would go towards that settlement, had been arranged. However, yesterday Cohen said he had been told a leader. Now, I'll read from the beginning of the paragraph so that it makes sense. The judge ruled last year that Barclay was in contempt of court after he failed to pay about £245,000 he owed his ex wife for legal fees and maintenance. However, the retired businessman has since settled that bill. Yesterday, Cohen said he had decided to make no further order in relation to his earlier ruling on contempt. Lawyers for Barclay have repeatedly told the court that a settlement of the 100 million award was pending. Most recently, the judge was told that a loan for about £10 million immensely frustrating that the transfer of £110 million had still to be made. An intermediary told the court that the funds had not left a bank in Switzerland because the unnamed lender was said to have concerns about confidentiality. A lawyer representing Barclay told the judge that solicitors had discussed a potential arrangement that would mean the lender's identity was not revealed, while still satisfying checks required under the money laundering regulations. The judge emphasized yesterday that Barclay still owed his ex-wife 100 million. Last year, Lady Barclay's lawyers argued that he was in contempt because he had breached the court orders to pay the award. And as I have said earlier in the reading earlier, the judge refused to grant that kind of application, if you like, and call or rule that Freddie Barclay was in contempt because he didn't pay the £100 million. Because Cohen, the judge, said Barclay's ex-wife had herself failed to prove that Freddie Barclay does have that £100 million. Now, going back to why the two Barclays were paying the congenital liar Boris Johnson, and also the fact that how is it that two brothers and the family that is headed by the two brothers worth £7 billion can end up being almost skint, penniless, which is what is happening here. That shows that in the United Kingdom, there is no financial regulation, there is no financial authority audit whatsoever, and nobody will ever know the truth about just how much money this political prostitute, congenital liar Boris Johnson has been pocketing from all kinds of sources. And what are the punters who pay the political prostitute Boris Johnson? What do they think he will deliver? What I'm saying is that in the United Kingdom, the society is completely bankrupt, morally bankrupt, institutionally bankrupt. And you can see the top of page one of the Times today has got this news story about universities. Almost every day there is one kind of story about the crisis of universities in the United Kingdom. This one is about the grade, the lower grades that the pupils have got. University turmoil for teenagers has record number misgrades. So what is it about? It says record numbers of teenagers around the country missed top A-level grades yesterday, resulting in university clearing turmoil after the government tried to curb grade inflation. At least 55,000 pupils who were predicted AAB or above by teachers received lower grades. Thousands more than last year were put into clearing after missing their university offers. Some 73,000 fewer A special level setting and AS were awarded compared with 2022 as exam boards sought to tackle years of grade inflation during COVID. 79% of applicants made it into their first choice of university, compared with 81% last year. The figure was 74% in 2019, the last time grades were awarded normally. Overall, 9% of the applicants lost out and were put in clearing, up from 7% in 2022. Top universities had twice as many clearing places available as last year, suggesting high numbers of applicants did not make the grade. Now, the crisis of the university in the United Kingdom. This is one kind of crisis that is mainly to do with the domestic grading, the pre-university exams. But the real crisis of the universities is that the British universities run as a business and depend for their business on mainly overseas students, graduate, undergraduate students, and postgraduate students. Now, that is the main focus. The British universities operate as businesses, not as moral, intellectual, scholarly places. By definition, therefore, the universities intentionally produce known fraud and fraudulent degrees. And as I said, there are several PhD awards given about alleged research containing references to the East End of London. And the worst one so far relates to a midget, a Bengali midget called Ali Asghar. This criminal has been given a PhD which is so grotesque that it has to be disposed of in a very detailed manner, which cannot be done in one or even two or even a dozen editions. It will involve several editions of the broadcast, which I shall be doing. The fact that this midget criminal was even given a PhD discredits the whole idea of the PhD. It discredits the individuals concerned at the University of Stupid Birmingham who conspired to give him the PhD, who conspired to allow him to write fictitious contents. When I contacted the criminals, many times over, the criminals were not prepared to come on the record. They have been in denial right from the beginning. That is to say, right from the beginning of my detecting that they have done this corrupt piece of criminality. So I'll have to really go into town and discuss every single aspect of the crime. One county court application that I had made against the criminal midget Ali Asghar about 20 years ago at the Central London County Court before it was moved to the High Court building complex in the Strand. That could not be continued because of the actual onset of the campaign, the needs to do the campaign to defend the community against the Crossrail hole. That is the reality. But in his reply, the midget gave the game away. He said that he had been abroad or something and he had not received the notice, etc., etc. He thought that he would get away. This midget has also fucked up his daughter's career as a licensed law trading solicitor. So stupid is Ali Asghar that he, after being officially retired, insisted on joining his daughter in running her solicitor business. And so stupid has he been that he fucked it up. He couldn't comply with the basic requirements of the Solicitors Regulation Authority, returning files and returning annual returns and so on. And the Solicitors Regulation Authority referred it to the Solicitors Disciplinary Committee or Board, who proceeded with deciding to disband that particular firm of solicitors. And with the disbandment of that particular firm of solicitors, Ali Asghar fucked up his own daughter's career as a solicitor. She left the licensed law trade and is doing something else. The last thing that she wanted to do. Ali Asghar is such an idiot that he needs to be made an example of. And he has got several colluders in Tower Hamlets that will be named in the final diagnostic factual report when I broadcast it. So, universities are running as businesses, but they are running as corrupt businesses as well. So, if you look at the actual financial report today about the UK economy, the UK economy is reportedly underperforming, if you like, or doing worse, or has done worse in the last financial year than in the previous years. And institutions, all the institutions are doing badly. So we shall be talking about all of those in due course in further details. And we'll come to, strictly speaking, factual, evidential conclusions. This one is being concluded at 39 minutes, let's say. This is part A, 39 minutes. And we're concluding this one is 08:17 hours on Friday the 18th of August 2023.